The third bill on the calendar for today is House File 310. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 310, number 3 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to child protection, the first engrossment.
There's an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Mortensen moves to amend Senate File number 310, the first engrossment. The amendment is coded A2.
Representative Winkler, for what purpose do you rise?
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
State your point of order.
Madam Speaker, under Rule 3.21 of the House Permanent Rules, motions and propositions must be germane. The Mortensen Amendment, the A2, introduces an entirely new section of statute. It also deals with an unrelated topic, which is presumption of parenting, and this is a bill related to mandatory reporting. There's no subject matter overlap and no statutory overlap. I'd ask you find the point of order well taken.
I find the point of order well taken. The member from Ramsey, Representative Becker-Finn, to your bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As a Minnesota kid, I remember vividly the warnings and trainings we all had about strangers and kidnappers, and we all lived in the shadow of Jacob Wetterling's disappearance. And I remember being taught so much about stranger danger and to never go anywhere with someone I didn't know. And the fear was really framed around a stranger, someone we don't know. Despite all these things being seared into our memories and our brains, the reality is that most children who suffer abuse are more likely to be harmed by someone they do know. Maybe a family member, a neighbor, someone in that circle of trust, and we have many, many examples. The example that instigated this bill today was the USA Gymnastics scandal. And first I want to note that although we use the shorthand of the USA Gymnastics scandal, there were 332 known victims of Dr. Larry Nassar. 332 women and girls harmed, 332 families carrying that trauma, entire communities impacted. And how did this happen? How was the abuse like this allowed to flourish systematically for decades? Because others allowed it to happen. As I learned more about what happened to Maggie Nichols and all the other girls victimized, I wondered how, when some of these girls were brave enough to speak up, the abuse still continued. Isn't that why we have things like mandated reporting statutes? Why did it take journalists digging into it and lifting up those voices for the abuse to finally stop? And like most parents, my next thought was, how do I keep my kids safe? And how do I keep everybody else's kids safe? And I thought about the adults in their lives and how we need to be able to trust those other adults. That's how our kids grow, and that's how they become members of our community. My kids play club soccer, and like many kids, they adore their coaches, and they often listen to their coaches better than they listen to the other adults in their lives. But our current mandating reporting law does not extend to coaches outside of school sports. It does not extend to church staff other than clergy. It does not extend to scouts or parks and rec teams. It is limited to schools and childcare as well as clergy and therapists. And after this bill was introduced, a young adult I already knew reached out to me to share how this issue had impacted their life directly and how things would have been better if this bill had already been in place at the time of the abuse. And then we continued to hear from other victims and how important this bill is to all of them, and this bill became much, much bigger than me or any one single person. Finally, if you are someone who is held in esteem and respected by children, that is truly an honor to hold. And as this bill has moved forward, I've heard from a lot of these folks. Members, I sent you an email with a list of the many organizations and individuals who have sent written support, including many churches and people of faith. I've also heard from many baseball and soccer coaches and others who care deeply about this issue and the need to make sure our kids are protected. I would like to thank all of the co-authors of this bill. This is one of those bills that was easy to get to 35 authors, and an incredibly important bipartisan, really truly nonpartisan effort to move this forward. Members, I ask for your support.
There are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 310.
Third reading. The member from Ramsey, Representative Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to speak on this House File 310, and thank you to Representative Becker-Finn for bringing this bill forward to help protect our youth. I too was surprised when I first heard that we still did not have a bill and ordinance out there, statute, that would help protect youth who were in vulnerable situations, that we did not have youth in organized sports and organized activities being protected. The folks working there were not mandated reporters, and they were not required when a problem of maltreatment came forward to do anything about this. It is important that when youth or anyone brings something forward that consists of maltreatment or sexual abuse of youth in an organization, that organization should be turning that information over to the professionals for the professionals to do an unbiased investigation to help determine what happened. Because what can happen otherwise is that a youth can make an allegation and present an issue of abuse, and the organization can decide, oh, that's just the youth, they don't know what they're talking about, and in turn protect the person who did the abuse. And so what happens is the tables are turned. The youth who had the courage to come forward and say, I think there's something wrong, or the person advocating for the youth, they end up being turned into the people causing the problem, and the perpetrator ends up becoming the victim because you don't have professionals investigating the situation. And this is where it's very important to make sure that we have all organizations being covered, because the impact to youth that in these kind of situations is very devastating. They're left to second guess themselves, geez, do I really not understand what's happening? It can lead to depression. It can lead to suicidal thoughts. It can lead to them questioning how society actually works. I think it is very important that we have this bill to help protect the youth in these type of situations. And I want to say thank you for not only the organizations that came forward, but also the youth who had the courage to come forward and say, yes, this happened to me, and being willing to share those stories to let us know that, yes, this is a problem, and that if we don't do something about it, it could happen to somebody else. So I encourage everyone to vote green on this bill. Thank you.
The member from Carver, Representative Nash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I am pleased to rise
I wasn't on mute there.
in support of House File 310 today. And I'll tell you why. For 17 years of my life, I was an abused child. It was not an uncommon occurrence to be beaten with a baseball bat, broom handles, fists. I was often kicked by my father. And it led to a great many hospital visits that were always explained away as, well, Jim fell. And as I dug through it later in life, I found out that my mother knew, and she allowed it to persist. Also, as I dug through, I found that a good number of my old coaches and day camp leaders and other camp leaders, sports camps, that they knew, but they didn't have any way to let it be known because they weren't mandatory reporters. And I'm what am I, 53 years old now, and I'm still dealing with this. And I will tell you that had this been in place, that many of the people who now later in my life came to me and said, Jim, we knew what was going on. We had no way to help you. And I will tell you, members, there were a lot of nights that I would pray for someone to come and save me, and no one came. And when you find out later that your mom knew, and mom was a mandatory reporter as the director of nursing, that made it a little bit worse. And I would ask for your unanimous vote on this so that other kids don't have to go through what I went through and won't have to go through some of the things that you've heard about here, because the more we can expand the number of people who can accurately and responsibly be mandatory reporters, we're going to save a lot of heartache, we're going to save a lot of damage in life, and we're going to make it so that people don't have to go through the same things that I went through for 17 years. And I will end there, but I would appreciate your green vote. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Ramsey, Representative Becker Finn.
First, I want to thank Representative Nash for sharing that with all of us. As I have reminded my committee and testifiers, vulnerability is not weakness. And it takes a lot of strength to share that story, and I think it will make a difference. As elected officials, we often reflect on what an honor it is to represent our communities. And we talk about how we could introduce legislation, but when it comes to issues like this, I think that it is a moral obligation that we have to act. When you know of something like this happening, it is on us to do something about it. And so even if you learn about that while sitting on your couch watching a Netflix documentary, while texting Representative Moeller, you still need to take action, and that is what we're doing today. I could not have imagined last summer when I was texting Representative Moeller all the stories that would then be shared with me and others, and how important this bill is. So thank you again to Representative Nash and others who have stood up in support. This will make a difference, and I chimigwich for your support.
The clerk will take the roll on the bill. Members, please vote. Will the chief clerk call the names of those who have not voted yet?
Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Carlson. Carlson, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Davids.
Davids, aye.
Davids, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Grossel. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Houseman.
Houseman, aye.
Houseman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman.
Aye.
Heinzman, aye. Creshaw.
Grishaw, aye.
Creshaw, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Murphy, aye. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, aye.
Pryor, aye. Sundin.
Aye.
Sundin, aye. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye. Vang.
Vang, aye.
Vang, aye.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 130 ayes and 3 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to.